me with the urgency of a mentor who came to train leaders, not entertain a crowd. This is a small room by design. My real love is people like you who believe that this is for you. If we had advertised fireworks, prophecies, and free perks, this place would be packed. Jesus didn't trust crowds. He fed them and then dismissed them. He trained 12. He invested in those who wanted to be transformed, not amused. So welcome to training. Take out your mind, open your heart. We are going to work. Here is the big question that brought you into this room. Why doesn't your team trust you? I didn't say like you, I said trust you. Trust is not applause after your presentation. Trust is how they talk when you're not in the room. It's what they risk because your voice gives them courage. Write this down. Teams don't follow power. They rest in identity-driven vision. They don't need you to be the loudest. They need you to be the clearest. Not clearer about the task list, but clearer about who you are and why we are going there. Let me shock you early so we waste no time fixing the wrong problem. Trust is not a perk problem. It is an identity problem in the leader. You can increase salaries, stock the fridge, create fun Fridays, and the mistrust still whispers in the hallways. Why? Because people don't feel safe under confusion. A double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. James 1-8. Write this down. Instability in the leader creates insecurity in the team. Your benefits can't outpay their fear. They're not allergic to hard work. They are allergic to uncertainty about who is steering the ship and where we are going. Vision is more important than leadership. I will repeat it until it offends your titles. Vision is more important than leadership. Why? Because leadership without vision is management of motion activity with no destination. Jesus said, if the blind lead the blind, both shall fall into the ditch. Matthew 15:14. And Proverbs declares, where there is no vision, the people perish. Proverbs 29-18. Write this down. Safety follows sight. If I can see where we are going and who is taking us there, my nervous system can rest. Your team is not anti-authority. They are anti-ambiguity. Now lean in. This is a sentence for your notebook and your mirror. Write this down. Safety is a fruit. Identity is the root. The fruit never fixes the root. You don't staple plastic apples to a dying tree and call it healthy. Trust signals the health of the leader's inner clarity. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Proverbs 23-7. Not as he performs in his meetings, so is he, but as he thinketh in his heart, in his subconscious identity, so is he. Your heart broadcasts a frequency. Your team is tuned to it. If the leader's inner signal is anxious, performative, approval-seeking, the culture inhales that oxygen and wheezes. Let me give you a story. A friend, I call her Aisha, ran a fast-growing startup. She bought the perks, kombucha on tap, a game room, unlimited PTO. Still, her best people left. She called me angry at this generation. I said, no, it's not them. It's your fog. She was offended. I told her to do something radical. Spend one weekend with no laptop, no phone, only a journal, and the question, who am I really and why does this company exist? She came back with tears and a sentence. It was clear, anchored in her gift, and big enough to carry sacrifice. Within 90 days, retention rose, meetings shortened, decisions sped up. Why? The team finally felt a steady hand attached to a steady identity, pointing to a steady vision. Write this down. Clarity cuts fear at the root. Genesis 1:26 says, let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion. You were designed to rule a domain by reflecting the nature of your source. True leadership is self-discovery under God, finding the image and embracing the assignment. Until you are introduced to yourself, you borrow identities from titles, budgets, and borrowed charisma. That's exhausting. That is why your team is tired. They are mirroring your hidden war. But when identity settles, image accepted, purpose embraced, watch what happens. Authority becomes quiet. Decisions become principled. Boundaries appear. And trust rises because the room can finally predict you. Say it with me. My identity is my security system. My vision is my navigation system. My team rests when both are on. Again, my identity is my security system. My vision is my navigation system. My team rests when both are on. Do you feel the difference? That's not hype. That is alignment. Let me set expectations for our time. This is not about sounding like a leader. This is about becoming one. We will move from belief to behavior, from titles to fruit, not slogans, systems, not charisma, character, not popularity, predictability. Write this down. Fruit is the evidence of leadership. What fruit? Courage in the room, honesty in the reports, speed in decisions, consistency in values. Trust shows up as relaxation under pressure. If your team has to brace for who you might be today, they cannot create tomorrow. Someone asks, but can't I just push harder? You can. Force can produce compliance, but it can't produce trust. Don't be impressed with power. Ask where we're going. Power without identity is dangerous. Power with identity, but no vision is stagnant. But power flowing through a clear identity toward a clear vision becomes protection. It's like a river within banks. The same water that drowns without boundaries gives life when channeled. Your identity provides the banks. Your vision provides the direction. Safety is the current that results. I'm going to confront you because I respect you. Whatever you tolerate, you will never change. Leadership is born when toleration ends. Tonight we end tolerating fuzzy cells and fuzzy destinations. You are not an accident. You are an assignment. Your team is waiting to rest. They are not waiting for your next perk. They are waiting for your next sentence that tells them who you are and where we are going. And before that sentence comes out of your mouth, it must come out of your heart. So welcome to the small room where big leaders are made. We're going to tear out all roots and plant new ones. We will upgrade the operating system of your heart so your vision stops stuttering and your people stop guessing. Write this down and underline it 3 times. Trust is not built by power or perks. It flows from the leader's identity and vision. If you will own that, we can build everything else. If you won't, no amount of technique will save you. Choose now. Because the moment you clarify who you are and where you are going, your team can finally exhale and begin to run. Let me reframe something that has been poisoning your leadership and confusing your team. You have been told safety first. In aviation, yes. In surgery, yes. But in leadership, no. Identity first. Write this down. Safety is not a policy. It is a byproduct. It is the perfume of a person who knows who they are and why they exist. You can engineer all the policies you want, HR manuals, open door hours, bean bags, meditation apps, and still produce a room full of nervous people. Why? Because they don't trust your policies. They are reading your person. My friend, people don't rest in perks. They rest in a presence that is settled in purpose. Jesus said, can the blind lead the blind? Shall they not both fall into the ditch? That's Luke 6:39. Safety follows sight, not the other way around. If you cannot see who you are, you cannot see where we are going. And when you cannot see where we are going, you will attempt to bribe safety with benefits and barricades, but the ditch still waits. The danger is not out there. The danger is inside a foggy windshield on the driver of the bus. Your team is not terrified of challenge. They're terrified of confused guidance. The ditch is expensive. It costs you trust, morale, and time. It sells stock at a discount. It sends your best people to your competitors. Not because the project was too hard, but because the leader was too uncertain. Let me make it mechanical because I know you understand cars. You can buy a $60,000 vehicle, leather seats, turbocharged engine, German engineering, and a $4 terminal wire can put it on the side of the road, not the engine block, not the transmission, a tiny hidden wire at the battery that lost its grip. No current, no movement, no confidence. Leadership is the same. A misaligned inner wire in you, a small private insecurity, a hidden approval addiction, a father's voice you never silence, an image you're protecting can shut down a $60 million enterprise. The meetings look impressive. The org chart is laminated, but the current isn't getting through. Write this down. It is not the size of the organization that creates stability. It is the strength of the leader's internal connection. You know, I love scripture because it is a manufacturer's manual. Genesis 1:26 says, let us make man in our image according to our likeness and let them have dominion. Your identity is image and likeness. Your function is dominion. Order matters. Identity precedes function. Image precedes influence. If you reverse that, if you seek function to get identity, you become a slave to applause and a hostage to titles. Then your team lives in an earthquake zone. Today you're up, tomorrow you're down, and everyone is walking on eggshells. Say it with me. Function follows image. Again, function follows image. That's why leaders who are still negotiating their worth cannot create safe cultures. The floor keeps moving. Write this down. People don't feel safe around uncertainty of self. They feel safe around certainty of purpose. Your team listens to your words, but they believe your weather. They can smell cortisol in your hesitation. They notice the twitch when you avoid conflict. They clock the contradiction when you say we value excellence, but you promote expedient mediocrity. They feel the wobble when your private person and your public platform don't match. That wobble is what makes everything feel dangerous. It's not the market, it's the mixed signals, it's not the deadlines, it's the double mind. James 1:8. A double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. When you are unstable, the organization's gait is a limp. And the limp tells everyone, watch your step. Let me tell you how Jesus led in a storm. He slept. That's not irresponsibility. That's identity. In John 8:14, he said, I know where I came from and where I am going. Identity is a compass. The reason he could sleep on a sinking boat is because his inner coordinates were fixed. The disciples woke him because fear is always loud when identity is quiet. He stood up, spoke to the wind, and the sea obeyed. The external chaos bowed to internal clarity. That is leadership. That is safety being generated from within. When you walk in the room with that kind of settledness, I know who I am, I know what we're doing, I know why it matters, your team's blood pressure drops. The storm may not stop immediately, but the panic does. Safety is first felt in the leader's chest. Say it with me. Clarity in me creates safety around me. Again, louder. Clarity in me creates safety around me. One more time. Clarity in me creates safety around me. That needs to be the new policy. Before you draft another workplace culture document, draft an identity statement. Before you launch yet another anonymous survey, look in the mirror and ask, what am I compensating for? Policies are rails. Identity is the locomotive. Rails without a locomotive are museum pieces. They look official, but nothing moves and no one arrives. I sat with a CEO who built the nicest wellness lounge in his city sleep pods, kombucha, Himalayan salt walls, and the people were still whispering in the hallways. He asked me why. I said, because your team doesn't know which version of you will show up to the stand-up. They're not dehydrated. They're disoriented. He didn't need a new lounge. He needed a new route. The $4 wire was expectation management with himself. He apologized weekly for decisions because he wanted to be liked. He confused kindness with cowardice. Listen to me. Gentle is not vague. Compassion is not confusion. Write this down. Your niceness can be a disguise for your need. People do not trust leaders who need to be needed. They trust leaders who are needed because they are grounded. Identity clarity is not arrogance, it is accuracy. Humility is agreeing with the manufacturer about who you are and what this is for. Psalm 139 says, I am fearfully and wonderfully made. That is not pride, that is specification. The Hebrew idea in Genesis rad means to rule, to have dominion. You don't dominate people, you dominate your assignment. When you dominate your assignment, your team feels protected by competence, guarded by integrity, and led by design. That's safety. Safety is the emotion your clarity creates in other people. Now, I'm going to push you because I love you. Stop tolerating an internal blur. Leadership is born when toleration ends. End the toleration of the fog. End the romance with ambiguity that masquerades as flexibility. End the addiction to options that keeps you from commitment. Pick your name. Pick your values. Pick your non-negotiables. Say it with me. I am not an accident. I am an assignment. Again, I am not an accident. I am an assignment. When assignment awakens, anxiety begins to starve. The team will feel it before they can articulate it. Final line for this foundation. Safety isn't first, identity is. When you know who you are and where you are going, your language straightens, your face settles, your calendar aligns, and your team exhales. Clarity in you becomes shelter for them. And the first $4 wire that threatened to strand you, you tighten it, the current flows, and a $60,000 car does what it was designed to do, move with confidence in the right direction. Let me take you into a small, cramped room in scripture, a wine press. Judges 6 says Israel was hiding in caves because Midian kept raiding their harvest. Every time they sowed, the enemy showed. Fear reorganized their geography. And there, in that fear economy, a young man named Gideon is threshing wheat in a wine press. That's the wrong place. You don't thresh wheat in a wine press. A threshing floor is open, windy, public. A wine press is closed, carved, hidden. Why is he doing the right task in the wrong place? Because behavior is a photograph of belief. Write this down. You always organize your life around your identity, what you think you are. Gideon believed small, so he worked small. He believed threatened, so he lived threatened. And then heaven walks into the room. The text says, the angel of the Lord appeared unto him and said unto him, the Lord is with thee, thou mighty man of valor. Judges 6:12. Circle that phrase, mighty man of valor. In Hebrew, Gibor Hayil, strong champion, force of capacity. Heaven didn't call him what he was doing. Heaven called him what he was. Not you frightened farmer, not you budget constrained manager, not you least of the least. Heaven spoke to his image. Write this down. God addresses identity before assignment. Belief precedes bravery. God did not start with get out there and fight. He started with this is who you are. Because if your who doesn't change, your what will always be constrained. Gideon responds like many of us when God introduces us to ourselves. He recites history and hierarchy. Oh, my Lord, if the Lord be with us, why then is all this befallen us? My family is poor in Manasseh, and I am the least in my father's house. Judges 6:13-15. Hear the software. Poverty programming, least language. He is arguing with his identity upgrade. Some of you have been doing that for years. You keep explaining to heaven your budget, your board, your background, your bad quarter. Write this down. Excuses are the defense attorneys of a broken identity. They will protect your smallness at all costs. But notice God's response. Go in this thy might. Have not I sent thee? Judges 6:14. God doesn't even dignify the inferiority speech. He repeats his identity and attaches a send. Identity, then assignment. Belief, then bravery. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Proverbs 23:7. Not as he thinketh in his head for a moment under inspiration. In his heart, his subconscious, his operating system. Gideon's heart said, I am the least. The angel installs a new OS. You are a mighty man of valor. That was heaven's first move, and that must be yours. Before you write another strategy, accept another meeting, threaten another deadline, let God call you who you are. Say it with me. I am who he says I am. Again, I am who he says I am. Now, leadership implication. Your team is living in your wine press. They mirror the space you lead from. If you lead from hiding, they will plan from fear. If you speak from least, they will execute with caution. If you apologize for your presence, they will apologize for their potential. Write this down. Your people are waiting for who you are before they can follow what you say. They don't need more tasks. They need a leader whose identity is settled enough to be predictable under pressure. Safety is not the absence of risk. It is the presence of a leader who knows who they are. Watch the sequence in Gideon's story because it is your sequence. After the identity announcement, God does not send him straight to the battlefield. He sends him to his backyard. Take your father's young bull and throw down the altar of Baal. Judges 6:25. Why? Because identity must first confront what you've been tolerating at home. Leadership is born when toleration ends. Before Gideon could face Midian, he had to end the private agreement with a false source of safety. Some of you are negotiating with altars of people-pleasing, indecision, secret envy, and approval addiction. Tear it down that night. Not next quarter, not after another podcast. That night, write this down. Private identity decisions create public trust dividends. Then something shifts. The man who hid his wheat blows a trumpet. The same mouth that argued least now calls men to follow, and they come, 32,000. But God is not interested in crowds. He is interested in clarity. He reduces the numbers to 300 so that the safety of the mission is not in the size of the army, but in the solidity of the leader's identity and the clarity of the strategy. Look on me and do likewise. Gideon says, Judges 7:17. That is a leader with vision. Not do whatever you feel, not we'll see how it goes. Clear, repeated, embodied direction, torches, pictures, trumpets, timing, predictability. Safety follows sight, and sight is stabilized by identity. Let's bring this to your office, your team, your home. Some of you are threshing in a wine press right now. You're doing the right things in the wrong environment because you don't feel safe to be who you are. Meetings in the shadows, decisions delayed, apologies before clarity. The angelic word to you tonight is not work harder. It is mighty. Mighty in discernment, mighty in design, mighty in dominion, mighty in restraint, mighty in conviction. Write this down. If you remain in debate with your identity, your team remains in delay with their potential. The clock on their creativity is ticking while you argue with your calling. Decide. But what if I don't feel brave? You don't need to feel brave. You need to believe true. Bravery is the byproduct of belief. Gideon still felt small when he tore the altar down. He still felt unsure when he blew the trumpet. But he had accepted a new name. Identity doesn't ask you to deny feelings. It demands you dethrone them. The feeling will catch up to the name. Say this with me. Belief precedes bravery. Again, belief precedes bravery. I want you to open your mouth because your heart listens to your voice. Say it. When I know who I am, my team is safe with me. Again, louder. When I know who I am, my team is safe with me. One more time. When I know who I am, my team is safe with me. This is not hype. This is neurological and spiritual. Your words are teaching your nervous system how to behave. You are updating the heart OS. You are moving from least to leader, from wine press to watch me and do likewise. Write this down and box it. God never assigns what he hasn't already named. He named you image bearer before you took your first breath. He named you dominion before you got your first title. Genesis 1:26 is still the manufacturer's specification. Let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion. You are not an accident. You are an assignment. When you accept that, the trumpet in your life will not sound like noise. It will sound like safety. Your team will rest not because there is no Midian, but because there is finally a Gideon who believes what heaven believes. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Proverbs 23:7. Not as a man thinketh in his head, heart. In Hebrew, that word is lab, the control center, the subconscious operating system, the place decisions are made before your mouth knows about them. Write this down. Your heart is your OS. Your skills are apps. Most leaders are adding apps to a corrupted OS and then wondering why the system keeps crashing under load. Policies are apps. Perks are apps. Even techniques are apps. If the operating system is infected with fear, unworthiness, and approval addiction, every app will behave badly. Your team does not live under your skill set. They live under your subconscious. That is why a room can feel anxious even when your slide deck is perfect. The OS is broadcasting. Let me expose the silent assassins. They are the hidden scripts written when you were 12 and reinforced when you were passed over at 28. Labels like imposter, unready, junior, too much, not enough. Those scripts are quiet until stress wakes them. Then the OS executes them automatically. Under pressure, you over-explain simple decisions because the imposter script says, don't be found out. You apologize for necessary standards because the too much script screams, they will leave you. You delay hard conversations because the junior script whispers, who are you to correct them? And your team feels it. They don't know the words. They sense the wobble. Write this down. People don't trust what you say when your heart disagrees. They trust what leaks from your OS. Jesus diagnosed this long before neuroscience printed it. A good man out of the good treasure of his heart brings forth good. For out of the abundance of the heart, his mouth speaks. Luke 6:45. Your mouth is a loudspeaker for your subconscious. When the heart is loaded with scarcity, your vocabulary invents excuses. When the heart is loaded with sonship, your vocabulary invents standards. Romans 12:2 says, be transformed by the renewing of your mind. The Greek mind and the Hebrew heart meet here. Renew the operating system and you change the entire machine. Write this down. Leadership is 80% mentality and 20% skill. Why? Because your belief system governs your behavior system. Your philosophy of self dictates your policy for others. Now let me give you a picture you will never forget. A speedometer versus speed limits. Culture creates speed limits. Policies, traditions, the way we've always done it, the salary bands, the denominational rules, speed limits. But your actual speed is not decided by the signs. It is decided by your internal speedometer. That's why two people in the same company with the same resources produce two radically different results. One is governed by the external signs. The other is governed by an internal permission. Write this down. Your internal governor is your true ceiling. The organization may let you go 70, but your OS is stuck at 45 because your 7th grade teacher told you you're not leadership material. That sentence became software. So you brake when you should pass. You signal when you should seize. You park when you should press. I remember the day my internal governor shattered. I was on the Autobahn in Germany. No speed limit. I rented a car, got on that highway, and began to test my limits. At 80, I was fine. At 120, my palms were sweating. At 150, my mind started arguing with my foot. Then I pushed and the machine settled at 170 kilometers per hour. Smooth, stable. And in that moment, I discovered a sentence. There is life after 170. Say it with me. There is life after 170. Why do I tell you that? Because some of you have never experienced yourself beyond your cultural limit. You have never felt your voice at full clarity. You have never sat in a room and owned it without apologizing to ghosts. Once you taste it, you cannot go back to 45 pretending it is safe. Safety is not speedlessness. Safety is skill within clarity. On the Autobahn, chaos is rare because the rules that matter are inside the drivers. They have been trained to match the machine with the mind. Write this down. Your team will never drive faster than the leader's internal speed limit. If your OS says risk equals rejection, your people will tiptoe. If your OS says correction equals conflict, your people will hoard data and hide mistakes. If your OS says value equals visibility, you will perform instead of produce, and they will copy your act. But when your OS says I am sent, not selling myself, your presence relaxes the room. Decisions accelerate because permission has been raised at the root. This is why identity work precedes policy work. Upgrade the OS before adding apps. You can announce radical candor, but if the leader's heart fears disapproval, you will practice radical avoidance. So how do we reprogram the heart? Not with hype, but with habits grounded in truth. First, expose the script. Say it out loud. I am running an imposter script. When I enter rooms with older executives, drag lies into light, they die there. Second, replace it with manufacturer data. Genesis 1:26 is code you can trust, image and likeness, dominion by design. Psalm 139 is code fearfully and wonderfully made. John 8:14 is code I know where I came from and where I am going. Speak them until the heart hears them. The heart learns by repetition. Say it with me. I am image. I have assignment. I walk in dominion. Again, I am image. I have assignment. I walk in dominion. Third, rehearse courage at small speeds. Don't wait for the board meeting. Practice a clear no in a one-on-one today. Practice a standard in a small project. Each honest act rewrites a line of code. Fourth, change your input stream. Keep your heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life. Proverbs 4:23. Guard your OS like a vault. Stop feeding it leaders who sell charisma without character. Stop scrolling anxieties that train your amygdala to twitch. Start immersing in vision, design, and testimonies that stretch your permission. Fifth, build reminders into your environment. I put phrases on mirrors because the bathroom is a sanctuary for the subconscious. Put your identity on your calendar. Set alarms with your declarations. Train your heart like an athlete trains muscle memory. Don't visit these truths. Live in them until they live in you. Let me confront you with love. You are overeducated in technique and underconverted in belief. That is why the apps keep failing. You keep buying new software for project management and ignoring the software of your heart. You host offsites about values and come home to the same insecurity. Write this down. Upgrade the OS before adding apps. Until you do, you are a fast car with a loose $4 wire in the dashboard, sending the wrong speed to the mind and making everyone nervous. But the moment you replace the script, when the OS agrees with your calling, your capacity expands and your team's trust ceiling rises. They can finally drive with you at 170 because they feel the steadiness. No wobble, no apology, just purpose at speed. Say it with me until your chest believes it. My heart is my operating system. I renew it with truth. My belief sets our speed. Again, my heart is my operating system. I renew it with truth. My belief sets our speed. This is not theory. This is governance. Leaders govern environments by governing their inner world. Change your subconscious identity scripts and watch courage replace caution, clarity replace confusion, and trust rise like a tide lifting every boat on your team. Picture the savannah with me. Heat shimmering, grass whispering, a herd of elephants, massive, muscled, memory-rich, moving like boulders with breath. Off to the side, a pride of lions, smaller in mass, lighter in bone, but sitting like royalty on a low hill. The elephant could crush the lion without thinking. He is bigger, stronger, and by the way, his brain is larger. He can pull trees from the earth like weeds. But when the lion rises and walks toward that colossus, something mysterious happens. The elephant, in all his advantage, considers departure, and the lion, with far less in size, considers dinner. Write this down. Your eyes say that's an elephant. Your belief says that's lunch. The difference is attitude born of identity. The lion is not king because he is the largest. He is king because he is the only one convinced he is. Proverbs 28:1 says, the wicked flee when no man pursueth, but the righteous are bold as a lion. Boldness is not noise, it is knowing. Righteous simply means right positioning with the manufacturer's intent. When you know where you came from and where you are going, John 8:14, boldness becomes your resting heart rate. That's why the lion walks, not sprints, stares, doesn't flinch, decides, doesn't debate. His identity calibrates his attitude, and his attitude governs every response. Write this down. Attitude born of identity determines response under pressure. Size and skill follow. Now bring the savannah into your boardroom. A market shift elephant, a revenue dip elephant, a competitive and more funding elephant. Your team looks at you to find out if this is terror or lunch. If you walk in thinking enemy, your words will carry cortisol. If you walk in anchored in assignment, your words will carry oxygen. Fear is contagious. So is faith. Teams don't just hear your plan. They inhale your presence. They set their pulse by your pulse. They will always calibrate to the leader's internal weather. Write this down. You are either a thermometer or a thermostat. Thermometers report the climate. Thermostats set it. Leaders set it. Two managers, same crisis, same spreadsheet. One says, we're in trouble. Everyone protect yourself. Let's wait this out. He just declared elephant theology, size wins, we hide. The other says, here's who we are. Here's what we're keeping. Here's what we're cutting. Here's why the mission remains. Here is the next 3 steps and the stop doing list. He just roared, not with volume, but with vision anchored in identity. Guess whose team sleeps tonight? Safety is not happy talk. Safety is settled talk. It is the lion's calm under pressure that lets the herd graze. Say it with me. My attitude sets the climate. My identity sets my attitude. Numbers 13 gives us a photograph of corporate attitude. 10 leaders looked at the same landscape and announced, there we saw the giants, and we were in our own sight as grasshoppers, and so we were in their sight. Did you catch it? In our own sight? They were defeated before the meeting started because their identity framed their perception. But Joshua and Caleb had a different spirit. They saw the same giants and said, we are well able. That is lion talk, not denial. Dominion, not fantasy. Faith. Write this down. Reality is interpreted by identity. The facts don't change, the frame does, and the frame drives the flock. But doctor, what if I don't have the resources? The lion never counts teeth before he decides who he is. He decides who he is before he counts teeth. Skill matters, strategy matters, but without identity birth attitude, your skills will serve your fear. Elephants with MBAs still run from smaller problems because their internal judge pronounces them prey. Lions with less salary move markets because their internal governor says, I am sent. Paul told Timothy, God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. 2 Timothy 1-7. Write this down. Teams rest when the leader's mind is sound. Soundness is the lion's gift to the pride. Let me give you a living scene. The CFO slides a deck across the table, red numbers, missed targets, a big account delayed, the room tightens, all eyes drift to you, the leader. This is the savannah. If you frown, flail, blame, or make jokes to dodge, you have just taught your herd when elephants appear, we panic or pretend. They will now huddle in silos, hide mistakes, and move slow. If you breathe, thank the CFO for truth. Restate identity. This is who we are. This is non-negotiable. Then sequence action. Freeze these 3 cores. Double down on our core buyers. Call the top 10 customers today and schedule an update cadence. You just taught your herd. We hunt in packs with clarity. Fear dissipates. Not because the elephant vanished, but because the lion spoke. Write this down. Your attitude under pressure is a policy document. Every crisis is a culture class. People will copy what you are more than what you say. If you carry a prey mentality, constantly scanning for approval, waiting for permission, apologizing for standards, the hunters on your team will either leave or lower their roar to match your whimper. But if you carry a kingly attitude, anchored in assignment, generous in spirit, fierce with values, the timid learn to breathe and the bold learn to build. Your identity is a shelter. Your attitude is the door. This is not about bravado. It is about blessed assurance. Lions don't pretend danger isn't real. They posture as if destiny is more real. That posture creates predictability. Predictability creates trust. Trust creates speed. Speed compounds results. Results reinforce confidence. And suddenly the herd, your team rests while running. That is the atmosphere of a great organization. Motion without panic, challenge without chaos, excellence without exhaustion. Say it again until your chest agrees. My attitude sets the climate. My identity sets my attitude. Louder. My attitude sets the climate. My identity sets my attitude. Now, a gentle but firm push. Stop tolerating the prey posture. Leadership is born when toleration ends. End the habit of opening meetings with apologies. End the twitch that avoids eye contact in hard conversations. End the weather reporting emails that diagnose without direction. Replace them with lion habits. Begin with identity, state reality plainly, assign responsibility clearly, and set a review rhythm. Write this down. When the leader roars with clarity, the herd organizes without confusion. Final picture. The elephant looks at the lion and sees a threat. The lion looks at the elephant and sees provision. Two creatures, same savanna, different self-concept. Your organization is living on a savanna of giants, deadlines, and opportunity. The question is not the size of the elephant. The question is the certainty of the lion. A lion's identity-driven attitude, not size, creates the trust climate teams can rest in. Set the climate. Be the thermostat. Let your identity inform your attitude. And let your attitude teach your people how to interpret elephants for the rest of their lives. Now that your attitude has taken its rightful throne, we must install sight. Hear me, the next law is not optional. Write this down. Vision is more important than leadership. I'll say it again. For the stubborn residue in your mind, vision is more important than leadership. Why? Because if you don't know where you're going, people cannot know if they are safe with you. No destination, no trust. Jesus said, if the blind lead the blind, both shall fall into the ditch. Matthew 15:14. That is not a parable about malice. It's a warning about sight. Without vision, leadership becomes motion. Without direction, energy. Without aim, meetings without meaning. And people cannot rest in chaos. Open manufacturer's manual. And God said, let us make man in our image after our likeness, and let them have dominion. Genesis 1:26. Circle the word dominion. In Hebrew, rad to rule, to tread down, to govern by design. The first picture of humanity is vision. God didn't simply create a species. He announced a destination. Extend my order. Be my visible image over an invisible intent. That means leadership is supposed to be the practical expression of a vision rooted in God's design. Write this down. Leadership begins where a God-imaged vision is seen and spoken. Without that, you just allow tourist guide with no map. Don't be impressed with power. Ask, where are we going? Titles without trajectory create anxiety. Budgets without a picture create burnout. Noise without a North Star creates nausea. I sit with executives who pound tables, flex authority, and increase surveillance and wonder why the room still feels unsafe. Simple, no sight. When sight is absent, people grab what they can and protect themselves. Self-preservation becomes the culture. But the moment you paint a clear, repeated picture of where we're going and why, it's like installing guardrails on a mountain road. The same speed becomes safe because the boundaries are known and the curves are anticipated. Write this down. Safety rails are built by vision clarity, not control tactics. Proverbs 29-18 says, where there is no vision, the people perish. The Hebrew suggests they cast off restraint. They become ungoverned, exposed, unraveled. Notice, the absence of vision doesn't make people lazy. It makes them undisciplined. They cannot align because there's nothing to align to. But when vision is plain, restraint feels like protection, not punishment. Standards feel like love, not legalism. Timelines feel like trust, not tyranny. Habakkuk 2:2 instructs, write the vision and make it plain upon tables, that he may run that readeth it. Did you hear the promise? Plainness produces running. Clarity accelerates courage. Let me give you pictures you will not forget. A jet engine with 40,000 pounds of thrust is impressive. But without a flight plan, that thrust is a threat. Power plus no path equals panic. Or think of a car with 500 horsepower and blacked out headlights at midnight. You don't feel safe, no matter how strong the engine. One more, an army at attention with no map. They don't need louder commands. They need coordinates. Write this down. Don't celebrate horsepower when what your people need is headlights and a highway. So how does vision create safety? Predictability. Your people can predict decisions when they see the destination. Predictability builds trust. Trust creates speed. That's why Jesus could sleep in a storm. He had sight. I know where I came from and where I am going. John 8:14. He rebuked wind, not because he liked theatrics, but because the wind contradicted the vision. When your team knows what contradicts the vision, they will confront it without you. That's safety multiplied. Now let's get practical. Write this down. Reduce your vision to one sentence and repeat it until your team can finish it for you. If it takes a paragraph, it's not a vision, it's a brochure. One sentence is a sword, it cuts confusion. One sentence is a seed, it reproduces itself. One sentence is a steering wheel, it turns the entire vehicle. For example, we build leaders who build nations. Or we make complex money decisions simple for families. Or we design products that remove friction from everyday life. These are not slogans, they are coordinates. Say it with me. My vision is a sentence that sets our speed. Again, my vision is a sentence that sets our speed. Practice number 2. Place that sentence everywhere decisions are made. Boardroom screens, project briefs, hiring scorecards. Begin meetings with the sentence and ask, how did we advance this last week? If someone proposes a shiny object, point to the sentence and ask, does it move us there faster? If not, it's a distraction, not a strategy. This will feel repetitive to you before it is clear to them. Leaders get bored with the message long before teams are formed by it. Write this down. Repetition is not redundant. Repetition is responsible. Safety increases when words and ways match week after week. Practice number 3, tie roles to the sentence. Every function must be able to say, this is how my work pushes the sentence forward. When each part can locate itself in the picture, anxiety drops and ownership rises. That's suddenly the meetings are not about politics, they're about progress. You will hear less of that's not my job and more of here's how I can move the sentence. Say it with me. Don't give me tasks, give me a target. Again, don't give me tasks, give me a target. Let me pastor your skepticism. But doctor, what about the market? What about volatility? Vision is not denial of reality, it is dominion over it. Genesis 1:26 was not a suggestion. Rad rule, govern, bring order. Volatility does not cancel vision, it clarifies it. In storms, the lighthouse matters more, not less. Do not lower your sentence to match the weather. Lift your systems to match your sentence. And when a crisis hits, open with the sentence, adjust the route, and keep the destination. The crew will sleep on shifts because they see a captain who can see. Now a gentle rebuke. Many of you are trying to compensate for unclear vision with increased control. You're adding approvals, policies, and pings. That is aspirin for a broken bone. Write this down. Control is what leaders reach for when clarity is absent. It creates compliance, not confidence. Your team doesn't need more surveillance, they need more sight. Paint the future until they can walk there without you. Let us seal this. Say it with me. Vision before leadership. Safety follows sight. Louder. Vision before leadership. Safety follows sight. One more time until your bones believe it. Vision before leadership. Safety follows sight. You are not an accident. You are an assignment. Your assignment includes a picture from God's design, spoken with simplicity, repeated with fidelity, and enforced with consistency. When identity is settled and vision is plain, the herd rests while running. That's the climate we're building. Predictable direction that makes people brave. Now, write your sentence and don't stop saying it until they say it with you. Now, let me put a key in the ignition of your destiny and turn it. Write this down. Your job is what they pay you to do. Your work is what you were born to do. One is a position. The other is a purpose. One can be eliminated with a memo. The other was installed by your manufacturer and cannot be recalled. Proverbs 18:16 says, a man's gift maketh room for him and bringeth him before great men. It did not say your job description makes room, your gift does. When you lead from your gift, fruit becomes predictable. And predictable fruit creates trust. People don't trust a leader because of a badge. They trust because of consistent outcomes. Gifts produce consistency. Consistency produces safety. Let me press this into your bones. Write this down. If they fire you, your gift goes with you. Identity is portable. Titles are not. That's Romans 11:29 inches plain clothes. The gifts and calling of God are without repentance. God doesn't take them back. Joseph was stripped of a coat, but no one could strip him of interpretation. The prison tried to bury him, but his gift found a corridor to a palace. Daniel was a captive. Change his uniform all you want. His gift decoded dreams, and he governed nations. David had no title, no armor, no board authorization. He had a sling, a song, and a history with lions and bears. His gift made room on a battlefield where titles were frozen in fear. Write this down. God's investment in you is not in your role. It is in your gift. Stop performing a role. Start deploying a gift. Why does this matter for trust? Because gifts stabilize behavior under pressure. When you operate in your God-given lane, you don't wobble. When you perform a borrowed role, you panic. Teams rest under leaders who are the same person on Monday as they are on Friday. 1 Peter 4:10 says, as every man hath received the gift, even so minister the same one to another as good stewards. Steward means predictable, reliable, accountable. Your gift, stewarded, becomes an anchor in a storm. People can set their watch by you. They know the kind of excellence that will emerge when you put your hands on a problem. That predictability is safety. How do we discover and confirm this gift? Not with mysticism, with honest inventory. Write this down. 3 discovery questions. 1, what do I do effortlessly that produces disproportionate results? Not what is easy, but what bears fruit beyond effort. What do others consistently affirm, unprompted? Not compliments from flattery, but patterns of gratitude. Who keeps saying, when you touch this, it works? What produces consistent results over time, independent of titles or environments? If it worked in college, in your first job, and in your last team, that's not luck, that's wiring. Now add these diagnostics. Where do you lose track of time while others watch the clock? Time dilation is a clue to design. What problems do people line up to pay you to solve? Demand is the marketplace test of gift. What angers you as dysfunction that you cannot tolerate? Many times, your assignment hides in your holy frustration. Who do you naturally defend, and what do you instinctively build? That's Eden information leaking out of you. Write this down. Ask 5 people you trust across seasons of your life to tell you the top 2 things you do that make them better. Don't argue, record. Then audit the last 12 months. Circle the 20% of activities that produce 80% of your value. That's your fruit map. Your gift is hiding there. consistent, faithful, asking to be deployed. Scripture gives us a blueprint for gift-based leadership in the most unlikely place, the construction site. See, I have called by name Bezaleel, and I have filled him with the Spirit of God in wisdom and in all manner of workmanship. Exodus 31, 2-5. God anointed a craftsman with his Spirit for design and execution. That means your spreadsheet can be sacred. Your design eye can be divine. Your operational genius is not secular. It is sacred stewardship. Write this down. When you honor your gift as holy, you stop apologizing for your lane and you start protecting it for the good of the team. Activation now. Rearrange your calendar around your gift, not your inbox. Give your prime mental hours to your core genius, not to low-grade tasks that make you feel busy and rob your edge. Delegate responsibilities that live outside your gift to those whose gift it is. Stop proving you can do everything. Start proving you can do the thing you were born to do at a level that builds trust. Announce your lane to your team. Here is where my gift produces our best results. Here is what I will not be doing anymore. Here is who I'm empowering in those areas. That announcement isn't arrogance. It is stewardship. Write this down. Confidence in your gift is generosity. Confusion about your gift is cruelty. Your people can't trust the fog. Let me make this plain with a picture. Two leaders, same title. The first spends the week playing whack-a-mole with tasks they hate, nibbling at everything, mastering nothing. By Friday, the team is exhausted and unsure what matters. The second spends the week in the center of their gift, designing the architecture of the quarter, telling the story of the future, making one or two decisive hires, and reviewing the numbers with a sense of pattern. Same hours, different deployment. Guess whose team sleeps better? Write this down. Operating from your gift stabilizes you, and your stability stabilizes your team's trust. The parable of the talents was not about fairness. It was about faithfulness to design. To every man according to his several ability. Matthew 25-15. Ability, capacity, wired by the maker. The 2-talent steward did not envy the 5-talent one. He multiplied his lane. Envy is an insult to your assignment. Emulation is a substitute for authenticity. Multiplication lives where jealousy dies. And the master called both good and faithful. That language builds trust. Good, quality, and faithful consistency. Write this down. Quality plus consistency equals credibility. Credibility equals trust. I want you to open your mouth because your heart listens to your voice. Say it. My job is what they pay me to do. My work is what I was born to do. Again, my job is what they pay me to do. My work is what I was born to do. Say it. I am deployed in my gift, not employed by a title. Again, I am deployed in my gift, not employed by a title. Louder, if they fire me, my gift goes with me. My identity is portable. My value is predictable. Practical assignment for the next 72 hours. Block 2 hours alone with a notebook. Title a page, effortless, affirmed, effective. List activities under each from your last 5 years. Circle the overlaps. That circle is the center of your gift. Then schedule 3 90-minute blocks next week to do only that center work. Inform your team of the shift and who will cover supporting functions. Finally, ask 5 trusted voices for their top 2 affirmations of your value. Don't hunt for flattery, hunt for patterns. Bring those patterns into your next leadership meeting and align roles accordingly. This is not selfish. This is service. Your fruit will increase. Your predictability will rise. And your team will exhale, because leaders who live deployed are leaders who can be trusted. We have secured identity and we have installed sight. Now we must make the engine run. Look at me. Under the hood of a car, who is the leader? Is it the shiny valve cover, the big battery, the expensive computer? Wrong question. Write this down. Who's the leader under the hood? No one. And everyone. Every part leads in its function. Importance is contextual. When you want to start, the starter leads. When you want to stop, the brakes lead. When you want to turn, the steering leads. If the fuel pump fails, The whole car prays in tongues at the side of the road, and a $4 wire, listen carefully, a $4 wire can shut the entire engine down. That's not poetry, that's principle. Honor every domain or the mission stalls. The Apostle Paul gave us a mechanics class in 1 Corinthians 12. If the whole body were an eye, where were the hearing? But now hath God set the members, every one of them in the body, as it hath pleased him, set arranged, placed with intent. Your team is supposed to be a body, not a blob. Ephesians 4:16 says, the whole body is fitly joined together and compacted by that which every joint supplieth. Joint supply. Functions feed functions. Write this down. Leadership is function, not rank. Predictability of function produces team safety. People do not sleep because you have titles. They sleep because each part can be counted on to do its part at the right time, in the right way, for the right outcome. I was with a company boasting about their org chart like a trophy, boxes stacked like skyscrapers, arrows pointing to authority, impressive ink, but their engine was coughing at every intersection. Why? No one could answer who leads what, when, and to what end. They had rank, no function. They had titles, no timing. They had opinions, no outcomes. Write this down. Confusion is expensive. Ambiguity is abuse. Your people should not have to guess which pedal to press in a storm. So let's make it plain. Practice number 1, map domains. Take a whiteboard and draw your value chain end to end. Design, demand, delivery, delight, dollars. Name the domains that move the sentence of your vision. Don't map departments, map functions. You don't need marketing on a wall. You need generate qualified demand. You don't need ops. You need deliver on time, on quality, on cost. You don't need finance. You need ensure cash predictability and wise allocation. Say it with me. Everyone leads somewhere. I clarify that somewhere. Practice number 2, define outcomes. For each domain, write the non-negotiable result in one line. Non-negotiable means measurable, time-bound, identity true. Example, product. Ship reliable releases every 4 weeks with fewer than 3 priority 1 defects. Sales. Close $X new revenue per quarter from our defined customer profile. People hire and ramp A players to productivity in 60 days. If you cannot define it, you cannot demand it. If you cannot demand it, you will default to personality and politics. Write this down. Outcomes, not opinions, run healthy engines. Practice number 3, name decision rights. This is where safety is born. Who decides? Who recommends? Who must be consulted? And who must be informed before, during, and after the decision? Not everyone votes on everything. Distribute authority according to function. The person with the clearest accountability for the outcome holds the primary decision right inside that lane. Surround that right with wise counsel and clear escalation paths. If 2 domains collide, the vision sentence becomes a referee. What did I say? The vision referees the friction. You don't need louder voices, you need louder clarity. Practice number 4, publicize interdependencies. Put the map on the wall where everyone can see it. Draw the arrows that show who supplies what, to whom, and by when. Turn handoffs into contracts, simple service agreements between functions. Finance delivers updated runway by 3 p.m. every Monday. Data team refreshes the dashboard by 9 a.m. daily. Customer support flags product issues within 24 hours to engineering triage. This is not bureaucracy. This is brotherhood. When the joints supply predictably, the body runs without limping. Write this down. Visibility is responsibility. Hidden work breeds hidden fear. Let me show you what this does to safety. Picture a launch week. Without functional clarity, day 1 is drama. The CEO becomes a universal adapter. Everyone slacks, everyone fingers point, and adrenaline replaces excellence. With clarity, day 1 is choreography. Product leads on readiness. QA leads on gates. Marketing leads on message. Sales leads on briefings. Support leads on scripts. Finance leads on pricing verification. Each part knows when to roar and when to rest. The same pressure, different pace. Teams rest when the engine hums. Some of you are tolerating fuzziness because you fear offending people. Leadership is born when toleration ends. End the vague job descriptions that sound like wish lists. In the meetings where update means dump everything and decide nothing. In the culture where emergencies travel faster than processes. Announce the new order. This is the map. These are the outcomes. Here are the decision rights. These are the interdependencies. This is the escalation ladder when tension appears. And here is the gospel of safety. Follow the map or we stop the car and fix the part. Not to punish, but to protect the passengers and the purpose. Scripture warns us, if the blind lead the blind, both shall fall into the ditch. Now add this, if the undefined lead the undefined, both shall live in drama. Don't do it. Honor the $4 wire on your team, the receptionist who filters chaos, the analyst whose quiet accuracy saves a quarter, the production scheduler whose calendar is a covenant. Celebrate them publicly. Pay attention where function is faithful. Write this down. What you celebrate, you replicate. What you clarify, you multiply. Activation now. Open your mouth. Your heart follows your voice. Say it. Everyone leads somewhere. I clarify that somewhere. Again, everyone leads somewhere. I clarify that somewhere. Louder until your culture hears it through you. Everyone leads somewhere. I clarify that somewhere. This week, pull your top team into a 2-hour session. Map the domains. Define the outcomes. Name the decision rights. Publicize the interdependencies. Assign one owner to maintain the map as living truth, not wall art. Review it weekly against the vision sentence. If a handoff fails, don't hunt for a villain, fix the function. If two domains collide, do not take sides. Take sight. Ask which move serves the sentence. Then decide and document. Finally, remember this picture. A car on the highway at 70 miles an hour with headlights, lane markers, and a tuned engine feels safe to the children in the back seat. They sleep because the system is predictable. Your organization can run fast and still let the people rest if functions are clear and honored. No one is the hero under the hood, and everyone is. When the parts lead in their lanes, the whole team breathes. That is distributed leadership. That is safety by design. And that is how a vision travels from sentence to city without breaking down. Now hear me like a father and a field general. We have talked about identity. We have secured attitude. We have installed vision. The next move proves you believe all three. Write this down. Leadership is born when toleration ends. Say it with me. Leadership is born when toleration ends. Again, leadership is born when toleration ends. Whatever you tolerate, you will never change. Toleration is the graveyard of leaders. That sentence is not poetry, it is policy. It decides whether your culture keeps drifting or finally docks. Scripture is not silent here. Eli was priest in Israel, but he tolerated the corruption of his sons at the door of the tabernacle. God asked him a cutting question. Wherefore kick ye at my sacrifice and honorest thy sons above me? Et Samuel 2:29. Eli's passivity ruined his house and shook a nation. Revelation 2:20 is even more direct. I have a few things against thee because thou sufferest that woman, Jezebel. Jesus rebuked the church not for what they did, but for what they tolerated. Write this down. Heaven holds leaders accountable for what they permit in their jurisdiction. Stop praying about what you're permitting act and align your environment to your identity. Let me list the silent assassins that erode trust in your team. Write them down and circle the ones you've baptized as that's just how we are. Ambiguity, vague roles, fuzzy deadlines, unclear ownership. Ambiguity forces good people to guess. Guessing breeds anxiety. Anxiety taxes energy. The taxes paid in delays, do-overs, and disengagement. Ambiguity is not humility, it is cruelty to the diligent. Favoritism. One set of rules for the charismatic, another set for the quiet faithful. Favoritism teaches the room that proximity beats performance. The honest begin to hide and the hustlers begin to hover. Trust bleeds out of the culture. Missed promises, I'll get you that feedback. We'll address compensation next quarter. We're a family. When words become coupons that never redeem, cynicism becomes the house religion. Every unkept promise is an invoice sent to your credibility. Hidden agendas, meetings that say one thing but mean another, decisions made in back channels. People learn to read tone, not text. Suspicion replaces submission to the vision. Hidden agendas are mold in the house. What you don't remove spreads. Write this down. Each tolerated dysfunction is a private decision with a public bill. You may think you spared a feeling, you just taxed your future. Some will ask, but doctor, can't we pray about it? Pray, yes, but then act. James 2:17 says, faith, if it hath not works, is dead. Jesus did not hold a prayer meeting in the temple when money changers violated purpose. He overturned tables. Nehemiah did not tweet his disapproval at exploitation in Jerusalem. He confronted nobles, restored interest, and reestablished order. Nehemiah 5. There is a time to lift your hands and a time to roll up your sleeves. Write this down. Prayer without policy change is piety without power. Let me give you a case study that still shakes cities. Rosa Parks, the 1st of December, 1955. A seamstress, a citizen, not a senator, not a general. She decided to end toleration on a bus. She simply said no. She didn't call a press conference. She didn't break a window. She ended agreement with a lie that no reprogram a culture's muscle memory. It reset roots, laws, and consciences. Cities adjusted, systems shifted, leaders emerged. Write this down. Sometimes the holiest word in a leader's mouth is no. She decided to stop praying about what she was permitting and to align her environment with her identity as an image bearer of God. One catalytic confrontation can turn a nation. Surely you can turn a team. So what does this look like on Monday morning? Activation now. Name 3 tolerated behaviors this week and end them decisively. Not 10. 3. Write them down. Circle them. Put a date beside them within 72 hours. Then do these 3 steps for each. Clarify the standard publicly. Effective immediately. Here is the policy. Here is why. Here is how it protects our vision. Don't assume they know what you value. Say it. Put it in writing. Standards are love in operational form. Confront with honor privately. We agreed to X. We practice Y. This is misaligned. Here is the correction. Here is the timeline. Ephesians 4:15. Speak the truth in love. Truth without love is harsh. Love without truth is hollow. Trust is born when love carries truth to the table on time. Consequence consistently. Favor no one, shame no one, align everyone. If the policy is real, it must be felt. When your friends feel the standard, your enemies will respect it. Write this down. Consistency is louder than charisma. Here are examples so your bones can feel it. Ambiguity, effective immediately. Every project has a single owner, a due date, and a definition of done on the brief. If any of those are missing, the work doesn't start. Favoritism, performance reviews will be tied to metrics we agreed on at the beginning of the quarter. Proximity will not be considered a performance factor. Missed promises. We promise feedback in 5 business days. If you don't receive it, escalate to me. If leaders miss twice, we adjust their comp. Words must cost the speaker more than the listener. Hidden agendas. No decisions will be finalized in back channels. Our decision log is public. If you lobby me privately for what must be debated publicly, we will bring your point to the table with your name on it. This is not harsh. This is holy. You are aligning your environment to your identity. Let me pastor your nerves. What if they leave? Better a few who leave because of standards than many who stay because of slackness. The wrong people are attached to your tolerations. The right people are attracted to your convictions. Proverbs 20:28 says, mercy and truth preserve the king. Mercy, compassion, truth, clarity. Together they preserve leadership and the culture it stewards. Your team cannot rest if they are guessing what you will tolerate next. Say it with me. Stop praying about what you're permitting. Again, stop praying about what you're permitting. Louder. Stop praying about what you're permitting. Act and align your environment to your identity. Ending tolerated dysfunction is the first visible signal that your identity and vision are now in charge. When your people see you confront what contradicts the vision, they breathe. When they see you end excuses that insult their excellence, they commit. When they see you keep promises and enforce standards, they trust. This is your moment. Within the next 48 hours, make 3 calls, send 3 memos, hold 3 conversations that end 3 tolerations. Cancel the recurring meeting that produces fog. Confront the misdeliverable that everyone jokes about. Correct the hallway coalition that substitutes gossip for governance. Do it with honor, with clarity, and with a timetable. Write this down. History does not remember your intentions. It records your interventions. Leadership is born when toleration ends. Say it one more time until your soul agrees. Leadership is born when toleration ends. Now go prove your identity and your vision by ending what insults them. Your team will thank you with trust. Your culture will reward you with rest. And heaven will honor you with fruit that remains. We have tuned the engine. Now we must build the road. Write this down. Safety is not a mood. It is a system. It is created by rhythms, rituals, and rails that make identity and vision tangible, visible, and repeatable. 1 Corinthians 14:40 commands, let all things be done decently and in order. Order is not legalism, it is love made visible. When order is public, people rest. When order is private, people guess. And guessing is the birthplace of fear. So we will install an ecosystem, predictable practices that reinforce who we are and where we are going. Begin with a weekly vision briefing, 15 minutes, no sermons, no stories, sight and steps. You stand up on Monday and say the sentence of your vision out loud, then point to the next mile marker. Habakkuk 2:2, write the vision and make it plain that he may run that readeth it. Plainness produces running, so read it. Then mark the mile. By Friday, we will deliver X because it advances the sentence in Y way. 3 questions only. Where are we against the mile marker? What blocked us last week? What decision will remove that block today? Close by reciting the sentence again. Joshua 1:8 says, meditate day and night, then you will make your way prosperous. Meditation is repetition with intention. Write this down. Repetition is not boring. Repetition is building. Say it with me. Repetition is responsible. Again, repetition is responsible. Next, open the dashboards. Feelings are loud. Numbers are leaders. Proverbs 27:23 instructs, be diligent to know the state of your flocks and attend to your herds. Diligence demands data. Put the core metrics on one page where everyone can see them. No secret spreadsheets, no private altars to power. Red, amber, green. The 3 or 4 measures that if they move, the vision moves, not to embarrass, but to enlighten. Light kills mold, visibility kills rumor. Romans 13:13 says, let us walk honestly as in the day. When the numbers are public, whispering has nothing to eat. Write this down. Open dashboards, turn gossip into gratitude because progress becomes provable. Your people stop asking, how do you feel it's going? And start saying, I can see where we are. And when a number slips to red, you don't look for a villain, you look for a function. You fix the system, not the soul. Now install a decision journal. Leaders forget why they chose what they chose when the weather changes. Memory is a liar under stress. So write it down. Each consequential decision. What was the question? What options did we consider? What data did we consult? How did this choice serve the vision sentence? Who had the decision right? What outcome did we expect by when? Schedule the after action date the moment you decide. Proverbs 11:14 declares, in the multitude of counselors there is safety. The journal captures counsel. It doesn't exist to justify you later. It exists to disciple you now. When the review day comes, you learn, not blame. If the decision bore fruit, confidence compounds. If it missed, wisdom compounds. Write this down. Transparency retrofits safety into tough calls. Create a truth covenant. John 8:32. You shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. Lies lock cultures in anxiety. Slow truth is still a lie to the calendar. We tell the truth quickly, even when it hurts, because clarity heals trust. Ephesians 4:15 says, speak the truth in love. So make it law. We do not talk about people, we talk to people. No triangles. If you say they, you must schedule I. If there is a miss, we name it within 24 hours, and we face it with the scripture's honesty with honor. Proverbs 27:6 reminds us, faithful are the wounds of a friend. A faithful wound is a surgical cut that saves the body. Write this down. Delay is decay. Slow truth rots teams. Now, protection protocols. Psalm 23, thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. The shepherd's rod protects from predators. The staff guides the sheep. Protection and direction together create comfort. So here is your protocol. Publicly shield, privately correct. When something breaks, you, leader, step to the microphone and own the system. This house is mine. We are fixing the process. You cover your people in public and then coach them in private. Matthew 18:15 says, if your brother shall trespass against you, go and tell him his fault between you and him alone. Galatians 6:1 adds, restore such a one in a spirit of meekness. That's not softness. That's strength under control. This destroys blame storming. Blame is laziness in leadership clothing. Write this down. We hunt causes, not culprits. We fix functions, not faces. And when a person persists after coaching, we act because leadership is born when toleration ends. Install rails that give everyone the right to protect the mission. In the factory of your operations, anyone can pull the cord to stop the line when safety or quality is at risk. In our ecosystem, any team member can raise a red flag when the numbers or the norms contradict the vision sentence without fear of punishment. That is not rebellion, that is responsibility. If the check engine light comes on, you don't argue with it, you thank it and pull over. Create a clear escalation ladder, who to call, how fast, and what pause authority exists so the response is predictable. Write this down. Rails don't slow you down. They let you go faster without dying. Tie all of this to a cadence. Culture is a calendar before it is a feeling. Weekly vision briefings. Daily dashboard checks at the edge of the work, not just in the boardroom. Bi-weekly decision journal reviews for leaders. Monthly truth covenant town halls where we surface one hard truth and solve it together. Quarterly pre-mortems where we ask if this next initiative failed, what would have killed it? And we build rails before the crash. 1 Corinthians 9:26, so I do not run aimlessly. I do not box as one beat in the air. Your rhythms remove aimlessness. Your rituals remove air punching. Let me pass to your intent. These practices are not theater. They are therapy for the organization. They are how identity and vision become muscle memory. People don't feel safe because you promise. They feel safe because the promises show up on the calendar, on the wall, in the journal, at the microphone, week after week, storm after storm. And when the storm passes, the practices remain because they were never crisis hacks, they were covenant habits. Open your mouth. Your heart obeys your voice. Say it with me. We practice safety on purpose. Again, we practice safety on purpose. Louder. We practice safety on purpose. Write this down. Predictability is the love language of teams. When you make love visible in public practices, trust rises like the tide and carries every boat. You are not an accident. You are an assignment. Build these rhythms. Install these rituals. Lay these rails and watch your people rest while you all run. Now we lock this into time. Intentions don't change cultures. Calendars do. Write this down. A concrete cadence compounds identity into vision and vision into structure until trust becomes measurable. For the next 90 days, you are not hoping, you are deploying. Day 0 to 30 is identity. Day 31 to 60 is vision. Day 61 to 90 is structure. Repeat out loud. Identity, vision, structure. Again, identity, vision, structure. This is the drumbeat of safety. Days 0 through 30. Identity. This is Gideon in the winepress month. Judges 6:12. The Lord is with thee, thou mighty man of valor. But Gideon didn't act brave until he believed he was mighty. Belief precedes bravery. Write this down. For 30 days, open and close your day with declarations because your heart obeys your voice. Morning and night, 5 minutes. I am made in the image of God to lead in my domain. I am not an accident. I'm an assignment. My gift makes room for others to rest. My yes is yes, my no is no. Proverbs 23:7 says, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. The heart is your operating system. We are rewriting the OS. Do the Gideon audit in week 1. List every limiting label that has stuck to you. Imposter, too young, too old, not technical, too intense, under-resourced. Write them on a page. Then open scripture on the other side and overwrite every label with truth. Mighty Judges 6:12. Dominion, Genesis 1:26. Sound mind, 2 Timothy 1-7. Anointed for workmanship, Exodus 31. Called and gifted without repentance, Romans 11:29. Say it until your bones agree. Then mark your gift inventory. Use the 3 lenses we taught. Effortless, affirmed, effective. Schedule 2 90-minute blocks each week to do only gift core work during your prime hours. Protect them like a covenant. Romans 12:2. Be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Renewal requires repetition, not inspiration. Write this down. Consistency is the scalpel that removes old identities. Also in the first 30 days, fast from labels and back channels. No self-deprecating humor. No titles to prove worth. No gossip to borrow power. Install one micro practice that stabilizes identity under pressure. When a challenge hits, breathe and ask, who am I? Answer with your declaration, then decide. Track it. You are training your nervous system to trust your identity. Small wins stacked daily become the leader your team sleeps under. Days 31 through 60, vision, identity stands up, sight starts walking. Habakkuk 2:2, write the vision and make it plain upon tables that he may run that readeth it. Write this down. Vision is more important than leadership because sight produces direction and direction produces safety. Craft one sentence that states your preferred future and design. One sentence, not a paragraph. It must answer 3 questions. Who are we for? What value do we deliver? And by when do we measure fruit? Example, we empower mid-market operators to scale cleanly by delivering reliable, on-time, on-cost systems that double cash predictability in 12 months. That's a sentence you can referee with. Cascaded into mile markers for each team, 30, 60, and 90-day outcomes that move the sentence forward. Every domain must write its one-line result that proves progress toward the sentence. Then start weekly vision briefings, 15 to 20 minutes every Monday. You read the sentence, you point to last week's mile markers, you name this week's. You connect outcomes to identity. What did I say? You connect outcomes to identity. Because we are X, we do Y to deliver Z. Repetition reduces anxiety. Proverbs 29:18 warns us, where there is no vision, the people perish. With vision, people plan, and with plans, people rest. Add a simple scoreboard visible to all, a living dashboard with 3 to 5 vision critical numbers per domain. Green, yellow, red, no spin. If the number is red, you ask one question, which move serves the sentence? Then you act. We are replacing adrenaline with alignment. Write this down. If the blind lead the blind, both fall. If the unclear lead the unclear, both stall. Vision clears fog. Days 61 through 90. Structure. Now the engine gets its rails, publish decision rights by function. Who decides? Who recommends? Who must be consulted? Who's informed? Tied to outcomes, not egos. Put the R on the person who carries the result. Surround them with C&I that fit the function. Install the dashboards you prototype daily for operational health, weekly for outcomes, monthly for strategy. Numbers don't rule you, they reveal you. John 8:32 says, ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. Truth makes teams safe. So sign the truth covenant with your leaders. What is it? A public agreement that commits you to clarity and candor. Our words equal our works. Our updates match our data. Our promises are invoices to ourselves. Proverbs 20:28. Mercy and truth preserve the king. Mercy how we speak. Truth what we speak. Together they preserve culture. Then prune tolerated behaviors as policy, not mood. We ended them personally, now end them structurally. Convert the 3 no more decisions you made into written standards with consequences and appeals. Put them where everyone can see them. Embed them into onboarding. Turn meetings into decision factories. Every meeting publishes its purpose and expected decisions. Every decision gets an owner, a date, and the first next step. Measure how long it takes to resolve cross-functional issues, then shorten it with clearer handoffs and escalation paths. Write this down. What you codify, you can multiply. What you tolerate, you will babysit. We are people of measurement because we are stewards, not gamblers. Establish a baseline on day 0 and begin to track 4 trust metrics weekly, then review monthly. Number 1, retention, voluntary turnover, and regrettable loss. Safety keeps the right people. Number 2, issue resolution, speed time from raising a cross-functional problem to documented resolution. Safety moves truth faster. Number 3, meeting to decision ratio. How many real decisions per meeting? Safety reduces theater and increases throughput. Number 4, employee safety sentiment, a simple pulse with 4 questions scored 1 to 5. I know what is expected of me. I feel safe to raise risks or bad news. I see consistency between our words and actions. I trust our decisions are made to serve the vision, not personalities. Watch the trend line, not the blips. If identity is secured and vision is clear, these numbers will rise like the morning. If they stall, return to the first sentence identity and the second vision. Fix upstream, not just downstream. Let me give you the cadence that glues this. Daily declarations in month 1. Weekly vision briefings in month 2. Publish decision rights and dashboards in month 3. And every Friday for 90 days, 1 hour with your core team to review the 4 trust metrics against your sentence. Don't explain, don't excuse, align, adjust, act. Write this down. History won't reward your intensity, it will record your consistency. Open your mouth. Your future is listening. Say it. When I know who I am, my team is safe with me. Again, when I know who I am, my team is safe with me. Louder until your doubts resign. When I know who I am, my team is safe with me. You are not an accident. You are an assignment. This 306090 is not a suggestion. It is a stewardship. Put dates on it tonight. Invite accountability by morning. By day 90, you will feel something new in the air. Calm under speed, conviction without cruelty, decisions without drama. That's measurable trust. That's identity and vision installed as culture. And that is the sound of a team at rest because their leader finally remembers who they are and where they are going. Look at me. This is not a seminar. This is a send-off. This is the moment where heaven stamps your passport and your team finally gets to travel in peace. You are not an accident. You are an assignment. Write this down. You were created to lead and designed to dominate. Genesis 1:26, let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion. That word dominion, radah, means to rule by design, to govern by nature. Leadership is not a course you completed, it is a creature you are. Your team does not need your costume. They need your created self. They do not need your title, they need your truth. We have done identity. We have adjusted attitude. We have clarified vision. We have installed rails. Now, receive the seal. Say it with me. My identity is settled. Again, my identity is settled. Louder, my identity is settled. Write this down. Titles announce. Identity assures. Perks impress. Purpose anchors. Power can make people jump, but only identity makes them rest. Teams don't follow power, they rest in identity-driven vision. When they can trace your decisions to your design and your design to the vision God gave you, fear leaves the room. Psalm 23 says, He leadeth me, I will fear no evil. Why? Because I know the shepherd's nature and I can see the path. So open your mouth. Your heart obeys your voice. Decree your assignment into your bones. Say it with me. The world needs me. My gift serves them. My vision guides them. My integrity protects them. Again, the world needs me. My gift serves them. My vision guides them. My integrity protects them. One more time until your doubt resigns. The world needs me. My gift serves them. My vision guides them. My integrity protects them. Proverbs 18:21 says, death and life are in the power of the tongue. Speak life to your leadership. Speak life to your team. Speak life to your culture. Now, write this down. Vision is more important than leadership because vision authorizes leadership. Habakkuk 2:2, write the vision and make it plain. Keep speaking the vision, not occasionally, rhythmically, not poetically, plainly. Your weekly briefings, your daily dashboards, your public order, keep them hot. Why? Because repetition is responsible. A pilot repeats checklists not because he forgot, but because he cares who's on the plane. Your repetition is how love becomes logistics. And as you speak, prune. Leadership is born when toleration ends. Keep pruning toleration. Every week, end something that insults your identity and slows your sight. A vague brief, a side meeting, a promise with no date. Write this down. Continuity of pruning is continuity of peace. Honor functional leadership. Say it out loud. No one and everyone. That's the engine. Celebrate the $4 wire. Protect the interdependencies. Keep decision rights clear. Handoffs visible. And the escalation ladder predictable. If conflict appears, don't take sides. Take sight. Ask which move serves the sentence, then act and document. Romans 12:8 says, he that ruleth with diligence. Diligence is leadership's love language to teams. Diligence feels like safety to the faithful. I want to reframe your chase. Write this down. Don't chase followers, bear fruit. Followers will find you. John 15:8, herein is my Father glorified, that ye bear much fruit, so shall ye be my disciples. A tree doesn't run after birds, it produces fruit and birds come. Your job is what they pay you to do. Your work is what you were born to do. Discover your work, deploy your gift, serve it every day with integrity. If they fire you, your gift goes with you. If the budget shrinks, your gift does not. If titles rotate, your assignment remains. That stability is what your team trusts. If your salary is your security, you are unstable. If your source is your source, you are unshakable. Gideon hid in a wine press until heaven reintroduced him to himself. Judges 6:12, the Lord is with thee, thou mighty man of valor. He didn't become mighty after the battle. He was mighty before the assignment. He needed a revelation, not a resume. So do you. You will never become a true leader until you are introduced to yourself. Say it with me, I know who I am. Again, I know who I am. Now add this, I know why I'm here. Identity and intent. That is the atmosphere of trust. Your people are listening for that sound in your decisions, your calendars, your corrections. When they hear it, they exhale. Let me give you your march orders in 3 lines. Write this down. Own your assignment. Speak your vision. Serve your gift. If you do those three, trust will rise and your team will rest. Own your assignment. Stop apologizing for clarity. Clarity is not cruelty, it is kindness in advance. Speak your vision weekly, publicly, plainly. Not everything, but the next thing. Serve your gift. Deploy it where it adds value. Don't volunteer your energy to arenas where your gift is not needed. Excellence outside calling is still disobedience inside purpose. Fathers and mothers in this room, listen, Proverbs 20:28. Mercy and truth preserve the king. Mercy your heart for people. Truth your standards for performance. Hold both without wobbling. Publicly shield, privately correct. Tell the truth quickly. Reward fruit, not noise. Write this down. Consistency is louder than charisma. If they can set their watches by your standards, their souls will set their rest by your leadership. I bless your next 30 days with holy habits that keep the rails tight. I bless your next 60 with pruning courage that ends what does not belong. I bless your next 90 with fruit that proves the vision works. And when the wind blows, and it will remember the shepherd's rod and staff, protection and direction, create comfort. Psalm 23. Do not abandon the rails to impress a rebel. Do not silence the red flag to soothe the moment. Do not outsource your voice to the loudest opinion. Your team doesn't need a louder room, they need a clearer leader. Lift your chin. Say it one last time. You are not an accident. You are an assignment. Again, you are not an accident. You are an assignment. Now seal it with your work. The world needs me. My gift serves them. My vision guides them. My integrity protects them. Go in this thy might like Gideon. Refuse to tolerate what heaven did not assign. Refuse to hide what heaven already named. Bear fruit in season. Let excellence become your advertisement. And when they ask, why does your team feel so safe while moving so fast? Smile and say, because identity is settled, vision is clear, and love is organized. Go now. Own your assignment. Speak your vision. Serve your gift. Trust will rise and your team will rest.